Okay, welcome back to the room, and we invite Bob to come to the front and share some thoughts.
Well, thanks for the invitation. I'll just do that. Pat, aren't you the one that talks about the young men that you have to work with just from local areas around here and how you benefit from them?
Yes.
Well, I had a tree fall over. There were 3 Bradford pears and one fell over and the other 2 are about ready to fall over. So we contracted with someone to come and cut down and take away all these trees. And so there were the men that you were talking about were there, and they were just delightful beings. That's, I'm sure they have their problems. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're perfect. Who's perfect anyhow? Well, actually we all are, but not at the level we see.
Right. Right.
So it was nice to see that, I don't know what brought that to mind. Well, it's just that this just happened recently. That's all. We woke up one morning to the sound of a truck out in the street getting that tree that had fallen over out of the street and back into our yard, because that's their responsibility for keeping the streets clear. And so now we have to think about what are we going to put in the place of those 3 trees. Well, at any rate, we'll find something. I think that I think we should think a little bit about pain today, because the issue came up. I'm sorry. Yeah, I remember. I remember Stephen saying, "Don't talk about that anymore." Well, let's not talk about it as a problem. Let's just try to think if we can understand a little bit about pain. And the thing that I remember from the course, it says that pain is, I didn't write it, see? I left it off. Is some kind, and let's think. So what we're going to talk about is misperception. Hey, isn't that sneaky?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not
Very good.
well, let's just talk about misperception. And it might even said that all pain. I don't remember. I think it did say that. Is misperception. Okay. Well, what things can we misperceive? In other words, what do we perceive? Well, what you perceive, you would say, well, that's the world. The Course says that the world is a world of false perception, actually. So if you're looking at it, it's going to be with false perception unless you are proactive and see to it that you're not seeing with false perception. In other words, if you just relax and take it as it comes, you're probably going to be getting false perception. That's because the ego lives in everybody's mind, and so he will throw up some kind of false perception. So you see the world, you see the people in it, of course. What else do we? Is there something? What else could we put it? What do we miss? What do we perceive? Period. In our lives that that has some bearing on how we feel.
Needs or wants?
Okay, that's an internal thing. I was going for external. Let's go for internal. So we can perceive stuff out there. We can perceive coming from our own internal basis of what I need or what I want or what others need. It could be, it doesn't have to be mine. So then there could be what you need or want, or what you think others need or want. Anything else come to your mind? What do you perceive? Because I'm just assuming that it all comes from misperception. So let's let's try to bring up anything we can possibly think of that we perceive. Okay, well let's look at these one at a time as we come down this list. We'll just start with the world, and I'll just write external because this is the internal world there, and we're not there yet. So you turn on television and you see the western edge of our country burning to the ground. That's called California and Oregon, so maybe some other places too with firefighters uncontained. And you see the belly of our country, the Gulf Coast and all that in Florida, drowning in one swash of water after another as these hurricanes go through. And then you see violence here and violence there, people choosing violence, attacking each other and attacking officials, government officials even. Or you read that the German, and I just saw this morning, intelligence agency has determined that, and they're really good at this because of their history, that I think it was 14% of all people in military or police or intelligent work are right-wing extremists and believe in violence. And if it's in Germany, it's going to be everywhere. But the reason Germany is good to look at is because this person was saying they're really keyed into that because of their past. They really
Very much so.
they keep
Yeah.
track of it carefully, more so than we probably do, or other people for that matter. So if you want to get a good idea, look at what the German company.
They think us doing a pledge allegiance to the flag is like a form of extreme nationalism. Like that's scary for them.
Oh,
because of their
really?
past. That's what I've been told. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I told my
So they don't fly the German flag around and everything like that unless
Well,
it's
they're
like
really-
a holiday or.
they're really thinking about this, aren't
Oh
they?
yeah, it's a big deal over there.
Well, I told my cousin who visited me from Florida a few years ago, for some reason or other, she didn't like one guy said, I don't like Obama because when he says Pledge of Allegiance, he doesn't put his hand in the right place. I don't know what the right freaking place is, but it's
He
somewhere
doesn't
in
put it
here.
on his Sorry.
Whatever, and so I was telling one of my cousins, I said, I will never swear allegiance to the United States ever, 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 or France, or Germany, or any other damn country on this globe. God, it's only God. Period. I would swear to allegiance to God and only to God. Are you really going to swear allegiance to your country? What if God wanted you to do something else? That'd be ridiculous. That doesn't mean I don't like the country. The country's great. The country's fine. But I'm swearing allegiance to it? Are you kidding?
What if you're a civil servant? Or is that just swearing allegiance?
Then
to
I'm going to tell the
people?
Holy Spirit I'm going to lie. I want you to help me forgive myself after I do that, because I really need this job and I can't quite be truthful with them. Besides, I do like the country after all.
Right.
It's just I'm being very literal here. I'm not swearing allegiance I only swear allegiance to the highest power, not the next to highest power. Yeah.
I kind of think it means, what is your perception of that? What do you think you're saying when you say that? I don't think we all really think that deeply about it, you know.
I'm sure that's right.
Yeah, it's just that I'm grateful for the country I live in.
And all that's great.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
I think that's kind of more or less what people are thinking. you know
that's
what I'm
right.
saying?
That's a good point. I just take it. I have a mind that is extremely literal. You know, you get that way when your background is mathematics or something. If x equals the height of the barn, it equals the height of the barn, not
Yeah.
an inch more or an inch less. It's the height of the barn. But that is a good point, because most people are not that literal after all, and they just mean, oh, I like being here and I respect my country and I hope it does well. Stuff more general stuff. But it doesn't mean that if it started putting Jews into concentration camps, I'm not ever going to. I'm going to back up off all of that, because we did put Japanese in concentration camps in World War II. And you know what? I'm not going to have a view on any of it.
Yeah, the best thing.
In other words, I don't know what is best for this country. I can't know that for two reasons. I'm not smart enough and the country doesn't exist. There is no country. There's only God and his kingdom, and all the rest is funny imagination, or whatever that quote was. That one of Karen Casey's, I'm remembering a quote about all the rest is our imagination. Did we not come across that this morning, or am I making that up in my own mind? I don't know. At any rate,
Talking about the real world.
they're talking about the real
Love
world.
is love quote.
Huh?
The Oriental lady in the picture that they had.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a really
So
nice.
Everything else
Everything else is
is
imagination. That was a really nice quote. Now, I'm saying that when you perceive the world, you forget it's not real.
Yeah.
That's a huge mistake. I mean, actually, one mistake's not bigger. It's huge because I really hugely don't want to make it. And it's so easy to make that. You see? And so when you see forest fires in California, I'm so thankful for all the opportunities those people have to see it differently. Is that what the first thing that comes to your mind, or the second? How about the 100th? How about never? Ugh, trees are burning down. No, trees are not burning down. The Course says disasters are not real. That doesn't mean you can't make them real in your own mind. And of course, the media believes in disasters. And you don't blame the media. What do you want to do? Report about how nice roses grow on bushes? I mean, you get bored and turn it off. They're playing to us, after all. And that's something that we're bombarded with at every turn. And how about the Gulf region, Texas, Louisiana, wherever all of those, they're just getting hurricanes one after the other. They're this deep in water, and then they get it back down there, and then they're this deep in water again. Isn't that wonderful? More opportunities to realize the world is not real. I mean, if you can't realize when the water's here is not real, how about here? How about here? The problem, it seems, is that God really doesn't interfere with our love of disasters. I mean, you need to be, it's really that same old cartoon that we mentioned before about the man on the face of a cliff just barely hanging on, saying, if there's a God, will you please say something to me? The great big booming voice out of the cloud says, my son, I am here. Let go. And then this scream, is anybody else there? No. And that tells it all for us. You got to let go. If you can't, this water level won't do it for you. How about this water level? And if there was no water levels, we would never let go. If there were no fires, if everything was hunky-dory all the time, you think we would choose God's will when our will seems to be working pretty good, except, well, maybe you just still get sick, of course. See, that in a perfect world would be one in which there are no fires, there are no floods, and there are no illnesses, and you're never hurt, and you call that hell because you would never wake up, ever. And happiness doesn't come from out there. Happiness comes from within. And that's when we get to this part of this list here, instead of that. And so the Course says, it tells us how to see the world. Its only purpose is to heal the mind. Fires will help. The flood will help. The violence may even help. I don't know. Whatever gets your attention enough to say, there's got to be something better than all this absurdity. I'm not going to call absurdity real anymore because it turns to hurt. It's sort of, you might say, isn't it kind of unfortunate that that we have to be hit in the face with a brick before we look up? You know, not that looking up would help the brick, it just hit your neck. But at any rate, in the again, the literal sense of the word, but we're here to learn that our will doesn't mean squat. It's God's will that is needed to run our lives. And so you just take your will and you say, God, this is my will. Please put it way off so I can't reach it, because I'll grab it up if you don't. And he said, well, we'll put some floods in between and some fires in between, whatever you need. The less you need, of course, the gentler your life will be. If you don't need lessons, you're not going. I think the universe is real efficient. I don't really believe there are any accidents. I believe that the Course says that actually. There are really no accidents. You were talking about accidents earlier, I think somebody was. There are no accidents. It's all designed, rough and tumble maybe, sometimes. But no matter, it doesn't have to be rough and tumble. It's just it can be if you don't use the Course in Miracles or something like that. In other words, through all the fires, through all the floods and the violence and the what? Oh, I forgot the great big old COVID. You know, it's everywhere. But it doesn't matter the form it takes. It's all the same. You don't give it any weight, and you look at it and you smile, because disasters are not real. They just look real. Look means perception. You're the boss of your perception if you want to be, but when you're the boss of your perception, then you give it the Holy Spirit. That's the 1 second you're the boss is while you're shifting it from your little mind or my little mind, whatever, to the Holy Spirit. Just let me see this as you do. And you can have a conversation, Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, how much does it upset you that California is burning to the ground? You're not going to get a positive answer out of that. He's going to say, no, it does not upset me. How about this problem? How about that problem? Because this is just an opportunity to realize this stuff isn't real. It doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that people in it that do believe in it and are suffering are not real. They are. So compassion is appropriate rather than, what? You're bothered by all that? Well, you poor thing. You know, that's not the attitude. That's the attitude about the things happening, but not about the things, about the people that are having to experience it. The Course says that salvation begins with the elimination of nightmares. So don't put more nightmares in place in your mind. Then gentle lessons are the result. You can just let all the world go. I just mean that quite literally. I'm not saying I could carry that out in practice. Well, Bob, what if you had no food to eat? Well, I wouldn't like that. But I assure you I'd be doing a lot of praying about it. Please help me not be concerned about this. Please help me see this as you do. Please help me focus on somebody else's lack of food and maybe help them get some food. Whatever, yeah.
When I work on this, of course, I try to remind myself not to attach, because I know that's what I do.
Right.
I attach to whatever's going on.
Speak up there.
I'm sorry. I attach to whatever's going on, so that's when I either get into fear or something like that. And so I kind of try to remind myself keywords, like I don't attach,
Well,
or make myself realize you are attached, and that's what I try to do.
attaching makes it real, of course,
Yeah.
to you.
Right.
And we have so much trouble with this,
Yes.
but we have so many opportunities to practice. What I'm thankful for are gentle lessons. I don't really want to be a firefighter in California with blood and flames going everywhere. I applaud them. I think it's great that they do that if they want to. I hope they want to. I guess they do. But what the purpose of the fire is the same as the purpose of the flood or the purpose of the violence you see someplace, whatever. That is, the disasters are not real. They're there for you so you can learn to see them as not disastrous. And on the face of it, this will look like you're an idiot. It will look like you have no, you're just withdrawing from the world. Yeah. Do you want to come too? Well, what do you call it? Heroin? No. Heroin is part of the world. You're just withdrawing from one world into another one, into actually a worse one, I'd say, or more challenging one.